when the Raptors play with that kind of effort and grit like they did in the fourth quarter of that Magic game, it is infectious, and it really makes you wonder what this team could be capable of.
I'm wondering.
Top 4 East.
Oh!
He's only here for the good times,
Great times. Great times. Great times.
This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, Jevohn, Fab, Wes, too busy watching World Junior tape, I think.
World Junior spot.
He's deep into Czechia highlights, so we got Jevohn instead. And Jevohn, let's go right to you. Like, you just made a bold statement saying top 4 East. I don't know what's changed between the lows of that Wizards game to the last two against Golden State and Orlando.
I don't think much has changed. I think at the end of the day, your best player or the lead, your feature player is 24 years old, and your lead point guard is the first time playing the position, right? So there's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, and I think it's just that this team has to continue to find and ride the rhythms and then, mitigate those lows. But for those 2 points right there, Scotty, your feature guy, is still just 24 years old, and Immanuel Quickley, like, he's learning this point guard position as we go.
Isn't that a problem that he's still learning the position at this point of both his career and the season? Like, that's troublesome, and we'll get into Quickley later on. But like, that's worried point.
Getting paid a lot to learn too.
Yeah.
I think Jevohn kind of hit it there. Just you're gonna get inconsistent performances from game to game. Like that Warriors game attract me.
It's just the variance of the inconsistency.
Yeah,
why is it that low versus?
Oh man, I'm happy we're not doing this pod after the Wizards game.
Oh yeah.
Because that would have been like, oh my goodness, just like the lack of effort, the lack of like cohesion, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Me personally, so both are great wins, right, against the Warriors and the Magic. I would prefer a game like the Magic, because that shows me something that's translatable when the games actually matter, and that's defense. Mm-hmm. Fourth quarter defense, the comeback, 21 points down, to show a lot of heart and tenacity. Raptors actually been doing that this season, which is actually surprising, because that wouldn't be my instinct to be like, oh, this team's got a lot of spirit, they come back. I don't know, man. It feels like when they get punched against good teams, they kind of wilt. But against the Magic, that fourth quarter defense, and specifically the lineup that was on the floor late, Jamal Shed, Jakob Poeltl, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, who's showing some stuff on D2, and Colin Murray-Boyles.
Walter's defense specifically, he made big plays that swung the momentum. And sorry, I'll jump in real quick. We just got some numbers on that lineup specifically. So plus 38.6, unreal. 132.1 offensive rating.
Surprising.
Defensive rating, 93.5. So, and allowing 34.6 effective field goal percentage. The defensive numbers make sense, but it's the offensive numbers. That offensive rating is out of control.
That's the surprising part of it. It's just like you just need dudes who are not going to get burned one-on-one on defense and they just capsize the D. You need spirit. You need guys who want to get after the ball. And we were talking about it, like, good on Darko. We'll talk about Stu, but for benching Quickley in that particular game because he just wasn't doing what Shed was doing.
Yeah, last week on our pod, we were highly critical of the Raptors, especially coming off that Celtics loss and the Nets loss. Like all we expect is effort. Like, the effort wasn't there. They may have lost to the Magic yesterday, but you know what? You can say it was a good effort. Mm-hmm. Yes. Same with the Warriors. Show spirit. You're not good enough to kind of roll through games. Like, the loss to the Wizards was just a no-show. So they're going to be inconsistent all year. I think they're kind of in this, like, 500-ish range, but play with that spirit every night, and you're going to win some games. And these two wins are quality wins. Like, the Magic are a good team. They were a little short-handed. And the Warriors were fully healthy. So these are wins you can build on and hang your hat on going forward.
I think that's what makes it tough over an 82-game season is you talk about the variance, right? And if you look at this team, their best wins and when they're playing their best basketball isn't based on talent. It's based on energy, right? It's based on an attitude. And over an 82-game season, that's the hardest thing to sustain. So for this group, I think we can't ignore the fact that sometimes some days it's tough to get out of bed, mm-hmm. right, and do this thing again over and over and over again. Doesn't matter how much you get paid, right? A CEO of whatever corporation, they get out of bed, and some days they just don't feel like doing it, right? An accountant, some days they don't feel like doing it. It's no different for these guys. I think to your point, when you look at that game yesterday and how they ended the game, look at the players that were on the floor, right? CMB. He's got to play with a sense of urgency right now because guess what? They just signed a big, mm-hmm. right? They just signed Bamba. Now, Jakob Poeltl, he played some really good basketball. He has to play with a sense of urgency. Why? Because RJ Barrett's back as well. Mm-hmm. I think we're also learning about, Walter, and I am specifically because he's in this little bubble with Ochai and
Grady,
and Jameson.
He seems like the guy, though, who's starting to now emerge and maybe take that spot and claim it as his own.
He has a bit more grit to me. I think we're learning about his mentality and his toughness, and he's probably has a bit more gumption, has a bit more toughness to him than those guys.
But doesn't it start on the defensive end of the floor? Like, he's not on the floor if he can't guard.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's also identified that, right? Not all those guys have been, and to Grady's point, I think he's been put in a tough position because he's been kind of miscasted, and he's supposed to be a shooter.
Yeah.
Right. So for him as a player, that to me, I'm thinking, okay, this is how I keep myself on the floor, by knocking down shots. Whereas Jacoby's been able to identify, what I need to do to stay on the floor.
So I've been very critical of how they've sort of used that stable of wings. I think yesterday was perfect. Grady had a really nice first half, played well, but Jacoby is the guy that I want on the court late in games because, as you said, because of that defense he was playing. And he swung it. He had a big steal. He drew an offensive foul, then hit a three on the other end. That really swung momentum.
Jacoby, you could tell in the last 3 games his confidence has lifted a bit. Even in that Wizards game, he was probably the lone bright spot.
Yeah.
He shot the ball really well. Now, granted, it's against a Wizards defense. That's not very good. But it's translated into other parts of his game. And if he's playing like that defensively with the ball pressure and he's confident in taking those open shots and knocking them down, he's going to earn more minutes. And the problem with Grady I have is, if he's not knocking down shots, what is he doing then? I get the hustle plays are there, that's fine, but you have to be good offensively because you're constantly a target on the defensive end. So if you're not rewarding us at the other end, you kind of to me, you're going to lose your minutes.
So, and here's the thing with Grady that I think, I'm a basketball junkie, so I've seen a bit more of this where if you look at Grady even as his year at Kansas, right? 40% from 3, but that's not really telling of the story, right, over the season. In the early part of the season, non-conference, he shot the lights out of basketball. You got later into the season in conference, that 3-point number started to go down. You got
that's
into
the when the teams know you a little better.
Right, they know you
a
little better. The athletes get a little bigger, they get a little stronger, and then in the postseason, he shot tournament play. He shot the basketball horribly, right? So for me, that's more telling on, when he's playing against bigger defenders, stronger defenders, and more athletic defenders, longer defenders, it gets tougher for him. So I don't look at Grady and expect him to be a knockdown guy or a shooter. He's got to roam and play a bit more like Walter, and I think he's more seasoned for it right now.
I think so it's funny. I think his decision-making is what's poor at times, where he's just attacking transition, 1-on-2, 1-on-3. I think I've said the same thing about RJ Barrett. I like the idea of that. I do like that he's aggressive. It's just, pick your spots, dude. Be smart about it. And I think his aggression would be helped greatly if he could shoot the ball. Shot looks a little off. I know we talked about with Leo Rounds on the broadcast. He's worried about the shot. Doesn't think it looks the same as it did late last year when he was kind of flourishing when the Raptors were winning games late in the year. So that's a little bit of a worry.
There's pressure now. There's pressure.
There is.
It changes things.
But you made a great point too. So RJ Barrett's back.
Yeah.
So now these guys, I think, I think it's human nature. It's natural for them to feel pressure to perform. I mean, we've all been there. To me now, it's sorry.
Put a pause on that.
Pause
on that.
Pause.
It seemed a lot of enthusiasm that you and RJ and Scotty could work together as a threesome. Why do you think so? And what have you seen?
On it. But now it's okay, you're now more into a defined role. And I think Jamal said it. Wow, I'm calling that one too. He's it's tough for these guys. They don't know when they're going to play. They don't know how many minutes they're going to get. And once things are a little more defined, I think you just play a little bit looser. And I don't mind mistakes of aggression necessarily from Jacoby, from Grady. I think those are good things. It's just you need to start sharpening out those edges.
We've said this for I feel for weeks, and Kia said it on the broadcast a couple weeks ago. As a professional, and you can speak to this too, don't you need to know what your defined role is? And when it's sort of minutes roulette every single night with Oche, with Grady, with Walter, even battle, it's tough because you don't know what you're getting. Now, hopefully, with RJ coming in, Jacoby can kind of seize that main role and be consistent with minutes, and we can say
it always helps when you know that role and that role is defined. But they're also in a position where let's face the fact, and Bobby Webster said it in preseason as well, where this team isn't going to be the same after the trade deadline, right? So if you're Darko, if you're the front office, you also got to play these guys to showcase them across to the other 29 teams as well. So they've got to figure it out, right? And you also got to be able to play under duress, and you learn about your players when, okay, you throw them out there for 2 minutes and they perform. You throw them out there for 20 seconds and they can perform. That's why I'm high on Jamison Battle, because when you throw them out there for 10 seconds, and they seem to just throw them out there sometimes when you need a spark.
Yeah, exactly.
And he always seems to do it. So that tells me a bit about how much he's built for. Now for Grady, for Ochai, for Walter, for a number of these guys, right? You just got to figure it out. That's a part of, nobody can just hand it to you.
They're still young too,
Well, at
man.
a certain point,
We band-aid ourselves with that excuse right there.
They're young, man. They're young.
You're young until you're not young
But
anymore.
I think they just need to move one of them because you just got too many guys.
yeah, I'm not going to make
might
excuses
happen.
for them. You got to be ready. You're a professional, and they've gotten minutes. You have to, at a certain point, man. You got to make shots.
Yeah.
To be an NBA player, you have to. The shots have
Or
to go down
something.
if you're great.
Something.
Or do something. So Jamal Shed, the star of the Magic game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's always ready.
Always
His
ready.
minutes fluctuate a little bit, but whether he plays 10 or 25, you're getting the exact same thing from him. And he's one of the guys on the team that I don't ever worry about his process or the way he approaches
Yeah.
the game. He's going to do it the same way. And you can't say that for a lot of guys on the Raptors. I mean, even Scotty, God bless him, but it wanes.
Yeah.
It wanes. Quarter to quarter, game to game, when he's locked in, like the Warriors game, you're like, my God, he's all NBA. And then against the Wizards, you're like, is this guy playing? Now, I know he was sick. He was battling a little hip thing. That's fine. But that approach has to be there for all these guys. And even CMB.
Yeah.
Look at that performance yesterday. Absolute dog, man. He wasn't
Yeah.
finishing well. First half, he got kind of cooked a bit by Paolo. But, man, when they needed him in the fourth, board after
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
defensive, like, that's the kind of you got to bring every time.
So I got a good stat from Keeks on that. 16 offensive rebounds over the last 2 games for CMB, tied for the most in any 2-game span by a Raptor all time.
Yeah.
And you said it. Those O-boards, they kept that game alive in the fourth quarter.
I think for CMB, seeing that performance by Scotty against Golden State, right, that sets a bar,
Yeah,
that sets
yeah.
a standard. And if you're a CMB, you want to learn from that game that Scotty had against Golden State Warriors. He came across to me like the 50 Cent of the NBA. Like he was out there, he was just bullying everybody.
Man.
Draymond went to his antics. It didn't fluster him. He just like, okay, I'm gonna pick on you. I'm gonna bully you. I'm gonna pick up every offensive rebound, every defensive rebound, and just will that team to a victory. So I was pretty impressed.
Are
with
we
that.
going to get a Scotty Barnes made doc about Draymond Green now? Is that where we're going?
Well, so I think to touch on that, I think Fab nailed it. Like CMB is a dog, and I think what we saw is the Raptors are chipping away at an identity. I think it's happening slowly. They're moving the ball in offense, but what we saw in that fourth quarter last night against Orlando, that's their identity to me. That's their identity that I think would translate to victories down the road when it matters.
Specifically in playoffs.
Yes. So let's talk about it then. Immanuel Quickley. All right.
Hold on, wait. Before we get in, before
We have
switch
to-
to
we
negative,
have to
let me
do
just say
it.
one other point to that identity. Also going back to the Warriors game, when Curry hits that 3 to go up 7, that is when we see that team normally kind of like fall apart. And that was like at the 2-minute mark. And then even Pods gets the O board, puts him back up 30 seconds. That's usually when you would see things deflate. And that was what's most impressive to that Warriors game. And then in OT, they just like turn
And
on
IQ
the
hit a
gas.
big shot in that game to tie the game late as well. But my problem with IQ in particular is you're not getting good defense possession to possession. It's not consistent whatsoever. He'll show moments. He'll show moments where he grabs a rebound in traffic, he gets over a screen, he recovers, he closes out. Like you'll see glimpses of this, but it just doesn't happen consistently over his time on the floor. And good teams are going to pick on you. And I thought Darko I thought his quote post game was also very interesting. Where he's like, "Why didn't IQ play down there?" Because Shed was playing.
He was playing.
And it's like, yeah, he was. And I like that Darko feels empowered enough to bench your $32 million a year salary guy. I mean, we've seen Greg Popovich do. I'm not saying he's Darko's Pop, but we've seen Pop do that to his Hall of Fame starters over the years. Like he'll
Maybe
do
Tim
what.
Duncan should have been on the court when Chris Bosh got that big rebound
no,
on the
do
rebound
not.
shot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You
But
should've.
there is. But like to me, it's just be emboldened enough to sit IQ when he was not giving it to you. I don't like the fact that like IQ needs to hit 50% of his shots or 4 threes a game for him to feel impactful on the floor.
So-
that's not good enough.
But also too, like you obviously the criticism of the defense makes a lot of sense, but Fab has been preaching about this all year. How many times do we see IQ just dribble the ball until there's like 12 seconds left in the shot clock, and you start to get into your offense then, and then you're left with just a BI throwing up a prayer?
He's not a point guard.
Yes, yeah.
He's just not. We're trying to make him seem like he's a point guard. He's not. He's a combo guard who needs to bang threes to be effective.
Yes.
But to the untrained eye, I think if you look at IQ and he's hitting his threes, you're like, oh, okay, he's a good player. If you dive into watching tape on him, watch yesterday. Go look at some of these plays. He's not giving you anything defensively.
Nothing.
He doesn't know how to orchestrate an offense. So that's partly on Darko too. Like, you have to kind of take the reins off of him a little bit because he's just simply not capable of conducting an offense well. He doesn't have the court mapping, the processing to put guys in the positions. Like, he's throwing guys grenades or he's just dribbling around for 10 to 12 seconds.
So what's the solution then? Has it gotten to a point where they need to be like, we need to move you to the bench?
Get him off ball more.
And is Shed good enough that Shed could be thrown into the
It's not that
lineup?
dire. I don't think you need to bring him off the bench. I just think you...
But wouldn't he be best suited that way? Wouldn't that be the best use of his talent?
Probably.
Well, I think, for one, I don't get frustrated at Immanuel Quickley because, again, he's playing the toughest position on the floor, the point guard. And you're also playing point guard position where you have to feed, Scotty Barnes. You got to feed RJ Barrett. You got to feed Brandon Ingram. What I do think is that, whether front office or Coach Darko, they've got to figure it out for him because the problem here is IQ right now can't balance scoring or orchestrating the team. And then, I know you harp on the defense a lot. Some guys just don't have it defensively. So maybe if he's giving the effort there, that's good enough.
He is. I think he
gives the effort that is good enough. I can't expect him to be a defensive stopper if he's never been that. I can't be mad at him that this organization decided to pay him that money. But how can they now help him to be a better player for this team? And I say player, not point guard, because maybe it's not the point guard position. Maybe it's a guy that's coming in as a combo. Maybe it's a guy that's playing out.
Do you think the skill set of Scotty and RJ, especially now RJ as a distributor, do you think it makes sense that he can kind of push back a little bit and you can let Scotty facilitate more of the offense? You can let RJ facilitate more of the offense?
I think you need to get scoring the basketball. You've got to turn that key for him scoring the basketball, not just.
But okay, sorry. Before, okay, what is IQ's offensive bag? What is it? It's either I'm going to haphazardly drive to the net, which he's not really that good at. He kind of has a floater.
His pull-up threes are good.
But he's not really a pull.
Okay,
He can only pull up when there's nobody in front of him. He's not hitting pull-up threes with a defender.
The advanced numbers are good for that.
How many times does he hit a contested three? It's like he has to be wide open or someone has to get him the ball.
And that's okay. I think that's fine. So I think to me his
But then
bag...
just use his skill set.
His
better.
bag is catch and shoot threes. If a guy goes under a pick and roll screen and he's 2 feet behind the line, I want him to bang. I want him to shoot that shot. I also think his floater game is very nice too, but it's also he can't get to the rim, so he has to rely on that floater.
Have counters, right?
He doesn't have counters. He doesn't have blow by speed. But what I do think he has the ability to play off of, the ball coming from the post, or you get Scotty the basketball or behind the basketball in the post, and like the defense shifts. He does a good job of knocking down shots, catching shoots, or then now he looks a little bit quicker when he's playing on that second side and he's playing against closeouts. Right, he can play against the defense's momentum, get into the lane, and then get that floater. But when you're asking him to take the basketball full court and blow by guys, he doesn't have the counter. He doesn't have that blow by speed for that.
I'm actually not worried about him on offense. I mean, the pecking order of offense on this team feels like it's Brandon Ingram ISO, wherever he has a matchup, and then it's Egalitarian everywhere else. I think everyone's just moving the ball. You see the assist numbers last night. I think everyone had at least 2 assists in that game.
Another great part of CMB's game last night.
Yeah, he could see the floor very well. So it's like offensively, I don't mind IQ. I think there are ways you can make him productive on that end. It's just the defense, man. Like, you cannot be the person the other team decides to attack every single possession. And I agree with Jevohn's point. The organization signed him to that deal. It's not his fault. Get that bag, bro. Like, do what you got to do. But what you see on that side of the floor is someone who cannot hold up to the physicality that I think some other guards bring. And guess what, man? Playoffs is all physical.
But here's what's annoying when anytime you're mentioning IQ. It's like the Bill Simmons thing. You have to call him IQ's contract because you're not going to mention him without talking about that money. You cannot chase bad money with more bad decisions. That money is paid. If the best use of him is off the bench or not playing to close out a game because the defense is so bad, who cares if he makes that money? You've already paid it. Just do what's best for the team at this point.
We're also forgetting we're having this conversation as well because this team has also exceeded expectation, right? From
so far,
where
yes,
where we were at the beginning of the season.
Fourth in the East.
So now the conversation has shifted to like, how can you compete as a playoff team? Right, so we do have to give them credit for moving that goalpost and taking a couple steps forward, and he's been a part of that as well. So we can't put so much pressure on that and so much onus on that because they have,
Very fair,
yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about that contract. Oh, his agent got it the ski mask way. We're talking about 50 cents, right? Like, let's be honest, it's not a good contract. Now, once again, I'm not advocating to bench Quickley. All I'm saying is change the role a little bit. Get the ball out of his hands a little bit more. Try to leverage the catch and shoot stuff. Hope he can compete on the defensive end. And I think RJ coming back does help that because that's another ball handler that they've been short of, quite frankly.
I think it also goes back to the point of, the evaluation of this team. And when you have a plethora of wings, maybe going into, the trade deadline, you're offloading one or two of those guys and then getting a guard or somebody, especially now that you've signed a big and Mo Bamba, if he can come out and compete at that position, maybe now you're getting IQ and the guards a bit more support where you're getting somebody that can handle the rock a bit more, get him off the ball a bit more. So I think this is a longer process, and because the team has, their top four right now playing some good basketball this season, now we're starting to think further ahead.
And on offense, too, your point about the big, like, make no mistake, the numbers bear it out too. IQ is better with Poeltl on the floor.
Yeah.
So Poeltl has not been on the floor. He can actually run a pretty decent pick and roll. He works off the screens very well, whether it's the floater game, whether it's someone going under the screen or getting hung up on that screen.
Too,
So maybe someone like Mo Bamba can help. I think IQ actually does need a big to thrive a little more offensively, whereas now he's a little more of kind of a duck out there.
A true big helps because when you're playing small ball 5, what happens is, you come up for those ball screens and they switch it, right? Again, we're talking about a guy that doesn't have as many counters into his game. He doesn't have the blow-by speed, so it gets tougher for him to create. When you're coming up with a traditional 5, you're coming up with a guy like CMB, they switch. When you're coming up with Poeltl, you're getting a 7-footer in front of you, right? That's hedging, and then now you can get by. So that makes a little bit of a difference for him.
So let's go into the Poeltl thing because we reevaluated in a week. The back issue is not going away. This is going to be a major problem. Obviously, I don't know, expectations I think are relatively low for Mo Bamba, and we're all just kind of hoping maybe we can get something good. But this next month is going to be very important in terms of how they approach the trade deadline, and if I still think they'll need to bring in another big.
He's a 7-footer, warm-blooded.
He's a body. He's a body.
Warm-blooded is the ultimate disrespectful way to refer
I mean, listen, man,
he has blood.
He has blood running through his
guy
veins.
who's tall, and he will be on the court. He had a nice block yesterday.
Dude, he did. And I think CMB even said it post-game. He's like, it's just nice to have another big man. Yeah, I think to me the Poeltl situation is tough. You alluded to it, they're going to have to get rid of one of those wings. The Raptors now are above the tax.
They can shed it, I think, easily, though, if they need to. It's low.
It's just who is it, right? Who is that person you shed?
Yeah.
It's probably Ochai, but Ochai's been giving you minutes.
He's 6.3 expiring, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's just there needs to be moves there too. I mean, I'm actually happy that they didn't make a trade where they had to give up any like capital. Like, we were going over it. It's like, man, there's guys on the street, man, you could sign that can at least like warm-blooded 7-footers.
I actually thought his minutes in that game,
They were okay.
They were okay, right? I think right away you've seen a difference in size and a difference in athleticism. I'm big on guys that can change the game with momentum shifting plays, like a big rebound, a big block. I think as he gets acclimated, you're going to get some rim running. You're going to get a lob threat. You're going to get block shots. You just need those in 10-minute windows. But I think there's a domino effect. When you have him on the floor, it's also going to help a guy like CMB who's been playing the small ball 5. I think he's better when he can, as a rookie, you can learn one position first and then start to venture out.
I think with Bamba, too, it's like defined roles. Like you said, in 10 minutes, go out there, protect the rim, and rim run.
Just be big.
That's all we need you to do.
Just be big.
And do that do that for 4 minutes and then good.
Yeah, with Bamba, he's 27 and he looked good in the G League earlier this year.
Oh, the numbers were monster.
Well, the criticism of him in his career was kind of like questionable mental makeup in terms of how he approaches the game. I think he probably thought more highly of himself. But
You got a song after him, man.
Decisions.
Yeah.
These are things
G League
that
will humble you quick.
Well, a young man's going to maybe come up with it. He's a lottery pick, right? Hopefully he can just, to your point, be solid on the glass, deter some shots, run back and forth, not be a liability defensively that he's proven to be in the past, and hopefully he can maybe spot up and knock down a 3 or 2.
And we alluded to it, man. It's unfair to put the Raptors in a situation where they're getting absolutely destroyed on the boards because management didn't get them a big
Yeah.
to help assist
Well,
that.
and the big that they decided to pay.
Exactly.
has
Yeah,
a
it
back issue.
doesn't play.
Well, Poeltl, I'm a bit worried because
Should be worried.
he's been ruled out for another week, which could easily go into a longer period of time. And backs are just tricky because it's not like rehabbing an ankle or a knee where you're good and you're just going to be good for the rest of the year. He'll come back and maybe he feels good, but 3 or 4 games later, that flares up again. Then what? Like, is this an ongoing thing?
So I think the thing with backs is you don't have, unless you have a clear picture of what it actually is, and none of us are a part of the medical staff, right? But if it's a case where it's just spasms, it could feel 100% today, and then you don't know what triggers it tomorrow, right? So unless you have a clear picture of is it disc injury or is it soft tissue, whatever the case may be, then it makes it really hard to gauge, and that's what makes it difficult here.
So let's just look ahead. Well, we know no Poeltl for the next week, but this was going to look like some of it a tough stretch.
Yeah.
Now it looks a little better. Like Wednesday, you're getting the Nuggets missing their entire starting 5 aside from Jamal Murray. Then you got back-to-back home games against the Hawks. Then your kryptonite team, January 7th, you got the Hornets. You know that's going to be a bloodbath.
Hey, maybe no cock and nipple.
And then you got Celtics, and then followed by two more against the Sixers.
Okay, that Celtics game. You know what? Nice. Can you please get these dudes back?
No, that ain't happening.
I don't know if they match up well at all.
Hey, sorry. FanDuel, you will lose money from all of us betting the Celtics against the Raptors. That will happen.
Just to put a bow on wrap. So at this point, what are you like near future? What are your expectations? Is this a team is maintaining a top 6 kind of the goal at this point?
I think top 4. I think
Top 4?
Yeah.
Is that your expectation of them
But
right
don't
now?
you think the rest of the East is going to get a little better, especially near those mid-tier bottom teams?
Cavs are kind of rebounding
Yeah.
a bit. Magic are there. Philly, who knows? But you're in the mix. I think expecting them to finish top 6 or be top 6 for the next month, I think is a fair request.
I think the Raptors thing is so frustrating because for every Nets and Wizards loss, there's a Warriors and Magic win. It's just like, and then you get the Celtics loss, and it's just like
flatten it out a bit.
I just don't know, man. I just don't know, and I think to me it's one of the youngest teams in the league. There's going to be inconsistencies. I think you touched on it earlier. Really starts and ends with Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
Like if Scotty feels like playing tonight, okay, we have a shot.
And
you know what I'm saying?
You're also approaching like some key parts of the season, key points in the season. There's going to be some moves, right? And
so you believe it?
Yeah. Bobby said it at the beginning of the
They've been
year.
telling us that moves are coming, right?
With that said, can you still play through that? And for the guys that their names are rumored in trades for the next month and a half, right? Are you still going to play consistent basketball down that stretch? And I think if you can, right, this is where you grab a couple wins that you're not supposed to, or grab a couple wins, leading into the All-Star break, and that's going to be important. The other thing that I've been really impressed with this team, and it's also going to help you down the stretch, is your 14th and 15th man, right? And I say that, and you're probably confused, but when you think about the last couple of years, Thad Young, Chris Boucher, who I love both of them, but the body language at the end of the bench the last couple of years hasn't been great, right? And those guys were in there, and rightfully so, right? They're thinking about contracts. They want to play a couple more years.
No, you need an excited hype man. You need someone fired up for that.
When you look at the end of this bench, there's always guys that are celebrating the guys that are on the floor. There's always guys that are ready and willing to come in.
That stuff's infectious.
So, and that's where, for me, you can scoop a cut like 2 or 3 wins that you're not supposed to, and at the end of the season, right, that's the difference between a 4th-seeded team and a 6th-seeded team.
And shout out to Raptors 905, undefeated.
Yeah.
They lost in the
They did
showcase,
lose,
but that doesn't count
count,
against the record. So, man, and to your point, those are the guys at the end of the bench, other than Garrett Temple. You got like some of these young guys who are winning in the G League. So I think that's good. So if there were any injuries, knock on wood, you do have some guys who may be able to get you a win there. And yeah, man, there's spirit at the end of the bench. Let's see.
Question for you guys. What's going to be a bigger parade? The Raptors 905 parade or the theoretical NBA Cup parade that would have happened? What do you think's bigger? Saga will be lit for that NBA Cup run.
Yeah, one of them is not real.
Well, theoretical.
Yeah.
Next year, okay, next year.
Are either real?
No, come on, buddy. That thing will start at square one.
No, they just lap the Hershey Center.
Yeah.
It's just going in circles around Hershey.
Buddy, well, we'll be there. Basketball Island from Saga.
Square one.
Let's finish with the sad news. We got Jokic up there like that. At the point of when we're taping this, we don't know the extent of what that injury could be, but I think we're going to frame this in an MVP conversation because FanDuel doesn't even have him on the board right now.
Yeah.
SGA, heavy favorite, back to he's to minus 250 now, followed by what all of us I think are hoping for, Luka at 5-1, and then after that the odds just get ridiculous. Cade plus 5,000, Jalen Brunson plus 7,500, Wemby plus 10,000, Maxey plus 20,000. Just ignore all those.
You went all the way down to Maxey. You might as well just say anyone.
But I'm saying, that's it. I'm just reading the top five. That's how dire it is. This is basically
Who's number 2 there?
No, it's
Luka.
basically Shea and Luka. It's Shea and Luka, and I think. Like, you got a Luka number in the offseason that's even better. But even now, 5-1, I kind of like that.
I mean, it's Shea's to lose just based on and they're going to be a team that's at least in the high 60s in wins, you'd think.
Well, I think Wes gave us a good bet, too. The Shea to score was at 25 in every game in January. Mm-hmm. I was also looking OKC to go undefeated in January. They do play the Spurs middle of the month, though, and then they're at Rockets.
They're kryptonite.
But that's an interesting bet if they didn't have that Spurs game, although at Rockets. I think it's Spurs Rockets back-to-back,
I will say, though, because Reeves is out probably for at least a month, if the Lakers do go on a run and Luka, he's leading the league in scoring, they do go on a big run and overperform, I think he can make it a conversation. But to me, the Jokic injury is more about the outlook of the season in terms of the postseason.
Oh, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Because now Denver is missing 4 starters at this point. If you go on a 5 or 6 game losing streak in the West, you're in the play-in.
Yeah.
And now you're going to ask Jamal Murray, who battles his own health
He's been
all the time,
awesome this year.
To have to carry the Nuggets. And I don't know, if they get to the play-in or they finish as a 6 or 7, are they really going to be a team that goes on the road 2 or 3 times in the playoffs to win the title?
Obviously, Jokic's injury impacts Denver. But I'll tell you this much. If I'm San Antonio Spurs, right, injuries happen. It's inevitable, right? If I'm the Spurs, I'm now sitting up, right? I'm sitting upright, and I'm thinking about...
The FIFA meme? The moving up in the chair?
You're moving up, right? Because they're sitting second in the West right now. They've been the only team. They beat OKC 3 times this season.
They own OKC.
They've lost a couple in a row, though.
So, and even SGA said, if you lose to a team 3 times in a short window, like they're better than you. Yeah. But if I'm San Antonio, if I'm Wemby, if I'm out, Harper, Fox, and all those guards over in San Antonio, I'm now looking at this season a little bit different because maybe Denver is out of our sight, out of our way, and we're thinking about, hey, we can come out of the West, right? It's something that you think about now. I think
Houston can also have that same thought process. I think the Rockets are poised right now for a nice little, just a nice January, February, and I don't think they're going to catch the 1 seed, but Houston getting to the 2 seed I think is definitely in play.
Trade deadline February 5th, so just that'll be very juicy to see what happens ahead of then. But for the Raptors, I mean, you heard it here first, man. Jevohn said there will be a trade because Bobby said it preseason. So let's see what happens.
Future cash consideration for a 7-rounder.
That's it for us. Jevohn, thank you for filling in. Wes, enjoy that Czechia-Slovakia tape. This is Basketball Island. Catch us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts.